All right, I am here today in our garden getting ready for our grab and go in the garden tomorrow from 10 to noon. So I'm going to have some book recommendations. I have two, I don't know what we should call them, like surprise books or something. So I have two advanced reader copies. I guess I should introduce myself. I'm Alissa Williams, the director of Morton Public Library. Welcome to the garden. So starting this week, weather permitting, fingers crossed it's not going to rain tomorrow, we're going to do grab and go in the garden from 10 to noon on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So you'll be able to come socially distanced and look at new books that we'll have on carts for you. We'll have some children's books, we'll have young adult books, and we'll have some grab bags of genres for you to take. So if you don't know what you want to read but you know you like science fiction, you can just grab those books that we put together for you and check them out to you. So we're going to provide this browsing opportunity in our garden. We'll also have the kids' puzzles out. You are not going to be required to wear a mask as long as you can maintain social distance of 6 feet. And we'll have the carts set up so that you can be socially distanced while you're looking at your materials. So we're excited to welcome you to the garden for grab and go. So I wanted to talk about a few titles that we're going to have out there. And some of you may know that every spring I do what's called a book buzz program with titles that are releasing this summer. And so instead of doing that program, since it's a little challenging to do programs and everyone's tired of Zoom meetings, during grab and go in the garden each week on Tuesdays, when I will be your grab and go hostess, we will have two advanced reader copies. And if you watch this and you come ask for it and you're the first one, you'll get to take it. So the first one is called The Switch by Beth O'Leary. You might have recognized her name. She wrote The Flat Share, which I've given to a lot of people to read, which was a quite delightful romance. This is a little different. Overachiever Lena trades places with her grandma, and it's all about what happens. Her grandma goes to live in London and does some online dating, and Lena goes to the countryside to kind of decompress from her big career. And it's funny, and there's a little bit of light romance, and it's really a story about friendships and family. And then another great story about friendship and family is Florence Adler Swims Forever. This comes out in July. It's set in Atlantic City, 1934, and on the first page, Florence dies while swimming in the ocean, so no spoiler there. But her family decides to keep her death a secret from her sister because her sister is in the hospital with a high-risk pregnancy. And so her sister's daughter, so her niece, Gussie, is trying to keep this secret. And then there's a mysterious stranger who recently escaped from Europe who's living with them. And everyone's trying to keep this secret for the summer. So again, it's a family saga, really interesting, complex characters. So if you come and ask for one of these, so you've got Florence Adler Swims Forever or The Switch, you can take this home with you, no checkout required, and read something before it's published. If you haven't already seen, we produced a summer reading guide this summer. And this has 21 titles, I think, in 7 categories. And when I was looking at the new books stack today, I found 3 of our summer reading suggestions for you. So I thought I'd highlight those because I've actually read all of them. So again, Beach Reads is a fun kind of take on a romance novel. She is a romance writer, moves next door to a literary fiction writer who she knew in college actually, and they are both suffering from writer's block. And so they challenge each other to write in their own genres for the summer. So she has to write literary fiction and he has to write a romance. And then of course they fall in love. Very fun and delightful. Then we have The Glass Hotel. This is in our armchair travel thing because it has a strong sense of place. You might recognize Emily St. John Mandel. She wrote Station 11, which is about a global pandemic. If you haven't read that one, it's on the shelf too. But The Glass Hotel takes a couple of different storylines and weaves them together, both past and present. And it's about the main character who at one point falls in love with a guy who's running a Ponzi scheme, and there's the Glass Hotel, of course, and it all comes together, and Emily St. John writes in a beautiful lyrical way. So if you enjoyed that more literary fiction, you'll enjoy this. I should read these next. I don't know if you get those in the frame. Okay. And then the 2 lives of Lydia Byrd is in what we called our, what did we call that? Let's see, I printed that here. We called it our grief. No, I didn't. Okay. So good grief. Good grief. Yes. Stories of moving on. So Lydia Byrd loses her fiance, but she's able to access him in the dream world, and so she kind of is living this dual life where she's trying to move on, yet she's spending this dream time with her fiance. So this is really interesting. You don't know how it's going to resolve. If you like magical realism like Sarah Addison Allen, you might enjoy this. And I've just got a couple other ones I'm going to go over quickly. Let's see. We'll start with romance. The Honey Don't List by Christina Lauren is about a assistant for the world's kind of like a Chip and Joanna Gaines couple, except for that couple's getting divorced and doesn't get along. So not like the real Chip and Joanna. Maybe more like Rachel and Dave Hollis. Who knows? And so the personal assistant has to accompany these two on their last book tour, and you know that a fire happens at the very beginning. And so you're reading to find out kind of what leads up to that climactic event. And there's a really good romance, because it's romance. So this is a fun little take if you like home renovation shows, you'll like this. The Joy of Missing Out. Well, we're all missing out these days, right? But this is by Tanya Dalton, who is the founder of Inkwell Press, which does a planner. And she just talks about how we feel overwhelmed and simplifying your life and identifying priorities. So if you've been thinking a lot about that right now in this weird time, you might enjoy picking up this short book and figuring out how to move forward. Since we've had this kind of slow down time, maybe there's things you want to keep when life resumes to normal. Let's see. Okay, Big Lies in a Small Town. This is, this has one of my favorite, I don't know what you would call it, writing styles or writing narrative tricks, where you have past and you have dual narratives, one set in the past, one set in the present. So these take place in North Carolina in 2018 and then in 1940. So in 1940, there's Anna, who's an artist who's commissioned through the Works Progress Administration to paint a mural in a post office. And then you have Morgan in 2018, who is restoring that mural. And so you get to see how their lives intertwine and how it all comes out. And I really enjoyed this. I read this in one sitting, and it's great. Present day historical fiction. There's a tiny bit of romance. And it's really interesting if you want to know more about Works Progress, the WPA projects, and if you enjoy art. It's very good for that. I'm running out of room. Okay. Let's see. How to Be Fine. You may be familiar with the By the Book podcast. This is written by their hosts, Jolenta Greenberg and Kristen Meinzer, and it's about the lessons they've learned from reading 50 self-help books. And it's really quick, really accessible. It had some really interesting things about what worked for them, what didn't work for them. So if you enjoy self-help or just want a quick primer on maybe some things to do to make your life better, this is a great one to pick up. Long Bright River by Liz Moore. This got a lot of critical acclaim when it came out. It's the story of two sisters, one of whom's missing, the other sister's a police officer. It's really good literary thriller. Psychological, you don't know what's happening. There's the sister who's the police officer has a bit of a past and you don't quite know what it is. And it's about family, complicated family relationships, and it was very engaging. And then I have two more. Catherine Center, you may be familiar with more of her newer works, but this is one of her older titles called Get Lucky. And Catherine Center writes really good, strong female characters. They're not, I wouldn't call them romance novels. I call them more like coming of age, finding your way books. And so this is one of her earlier books that we've read, Things We Save in a Fire. in large print. We've got a great Ellen Hildebrand. She's always perfect for the summer. We've got the new Janet Ivanovich. That, you know, if you want to know what's going on with Stephanie Plum, has she picked anyone yet? I stopped reading many books ago because I couldn't handle it. We've got Olive Again by Elizabeth Strout. That's in large print. And we'll have other titles, both in regular and large print.